This week's horrific attack has drawn some pretty extreme reactions from all sides, and the mainstream media is no exception. Two of the more controversial moments came from the New York Daily News and the Boston Globe, which both took the opportunity to blame the NRA rather than radical Islam. And then the New York Times editorial board went so far as suggesting Republican bigotry is to blame for the attack. But one of the most dramatic claims this week came from Joy Behar on The View. Listen.
The thing about Trump, though, is that he's the recruiter-in-chief. He is
for ISIS.
He is basically working with ISIS to kill us. They are working together. Just remember what I'm saying.
Wow, joining me now is Howard Kurtz, the host of Media Buzz here on Fox. What did you make of that?
You know, it makes me really angry when pundits and politicians seize on a horrifying tragedy like what happened in Orlando to score cheap political points, to point fingers. Trump's the recruiter-in-chief, it's President Obama's fault, and it seems almost stuck on hyperspeed now in the new politics of terror. So this NRA, thanks NRA cover in the New York Daily News, which has become like a propaganda sheet, even if you vehemently disagree with the NRA's policies on background checks or no-fly list, that's ugly stuff. And that New York Times editorial, if I could just read a line or two, talking about the targeting of the gay nightclub in Orlando, hate crimes occur when bigotry is allowed to fester, driven too often by Republican politicians who see bigotry as something to exploit. That conflates two things: disagreements about gay rights legislation or policies, and the senseless slaughter of 49 Americans.
Why is this happening, Howie? I mean, what is changing? Why is this rhetoric out there? I mean, how different is this from what we have seen in the past? Because it seems like it's quickly changing.
It's gone on for a long time. Back during the Oklahoma City bombing, for example, President Bill Clinton pointed a finger at Rush Limbaugh, said he'd helped create a climate of intolerance that led to somebody like Timothy McVeigh. It just seems now like we don't even wait until all the people have been taken to the hospitals. And let me, to be fair and balanced, and point to a couple of examples on the right. I was disappointed when John McCain came out and said that he holds Barack Obama personally responsible for the attack. But to his credit, to the senator's credit, he came out, he said, I misspoke. I was talking about the president's national security policies, which, of course, are fair game. And then take a look at this video from Pat Robertson on the 700 Club. This is a former presidential candidate talking about how the left loves both gays and Islam. Here's what Pat Robertson had to say.
The left is having a dilemma of major proportions, and I think for those of us who disagree with some of their policies, the best thing to do is to sit on the sidelines and let them kill themselves.
Wow. The Christian Broadcasting Network lady came out and said Robertson was speaking metaphorically about kill themselves. Well, what a relief.
Wow. I mean, the media reaction in general, the Boston Globe, New York Times, New York Daily News, it's been all over the place, Howie. And you wonder how much of this is, why it's being allowed. Joy Behar, can you imagine if somebody had placed blame on President Obama in that way, the visceral reaction we would see from the left?
Right. I mean, what does all this do? What's the bottom line? It adds to polarization in our country. It doesn't do a thing to stop the problem of terror attacks and these mass shootings that, unfortunately, for journalists and the rest of the country, have become so routine that we now know the drill. We parachute into places like Orlando and try to deal with the senseless tragedy and grief. And there are all these pieces of the puzzle, whether it's assault weapons, whether it's attacks on gays, whether it's terror, whether it's radicalized Muslims. And if everybody's going to point fingers and the media are exacerbating this, then I think we are doing a disservice to the country at a time when we should at least be asking tough questions, yes, but playing a unifying role as well.
And just so soon, all of it. All right, Howie, thank you.
Soon.